In this video, we're going to work on something completely different. So sit back and I'll show you what we're up to. All right, time for something different. So what this is a KitchenAid kitchen mixer. My father-in-law actually gave to me because he was having an issue. You can kind of see the issue right here. There's this grease and oil that's been leaking out around this thing and going into the food and stuff as he's using it. So he just went ahead and bought another one and gave it to me to see if I could fix it and maybe make use of it. So we're gonna take a stab at it today. So I've taken a look at the manual a little bit here and I've got an idea of what we've got to do. So I'll show you how to disassemble this. So maybe someone can do it on their own. So first thing I'm going to have to do here is pop this off. I'll show you how to do that. I'm going to have to get this back cover off, and I'm going to have to get this cowling off here. So I'll go into detail how to do that. Let me get you set up on the tripod. 1 second. All right, so we're going to take this little, I guess this is called a drip tray off. So there's a little bit of, it's not really even a notch, it just kind of overhangs the housing a little bit here. So all you're supposed to do is take a flat screwdriver like this, find a little edge, and see if you can pop down on it. See, it's already starting to move. That was pretty easy. All right, let's put that aside. And let's go ahead and rotate the machine to the back. So we have to get this cover off. And this, I guess they call it like a beauty shield or something like that on the sides here. So we got a Phillips up here, and then 2 Phillips right here. So we're going to go ahead and pop those off. Okay, put all this stuff aside. My magnetic parts holder over here. Oh, well, it's coming off pretty easy. Don't drop it, don't drop it, don't drop it. Where'd you go? Come on. There we go. And we got one more over here. So I think this might, yeah, oh yeah, that comes right off. Oh yeah, there's 2 little notches on here that sits in. Oh yeah, you can see there is some oil back in here too. All right, go ahead and get this last screw off. Now I believe this guy should come off. There we go. Oh yeah, look at all the oil all around in there. So yeah, he was talking about how you could see this brown dripping down into his stuff. So we'll go ahead and pitch that to the side. All right, so now, come on, get over there. There is a pin, I don't know if you can see that or not, that goes through here. So I need to go get myself a punch, and I can knock that pin out, and then this comes down. So let me go ahead and get myself a punch, and I'll bring you right back. 1 second. All right, well, hopefully you can see what I'm going to do here. But yeah, the pin goes right here, and you have to push it all the way through. So I've got myself a punch. Got myself a hammer. I believe it's an 1/8 inch hole. Starting to move a little bit here. I'm going to get myself a little bit narrower of a punch because I'm getting stuck. 1 second. All right, now we got a narrow punch. Okay. Oh, we're free. Look at that. Came right up. Okay. Put that bad boy off to the side, and I believe this is supposed to... Oh, yeah. So you're supposed to pry down on this. So you need 2 screwdrivers or a screwdriver and a flat bar or whatever. And you can see there's like little notches here. Get your... Well, it's not going to work. Find a narrower screwdriver. I'm going to use a little punch here. All right, so I'm going to pry down on this side. There we go. I might just be able to get it with one here. Okay, she's coming out. Oh, yeah. Ooh. Okay, I don't know if you guys can see that or not, but yeah, you can see this oil is looking a little thin here, and it's looking a little brown and greasy and nasty. Up in here, it doesn't look like there's too much that is still in contact with those gears right there. So it's a good thing we're doing this, and we can maybe save this bad boy. It still sounds all right otherwise. It's not, grinding or anything like that, but it's definitely in need of some re-greasing. All right, now we need to take a flathead and we can get all of these screws out up here. Okay. Take little stubby Bob here and accomplish that task. Come on. There we go. One. Kind of pay attention to which screws you're taking out of where too. It's going to be easier for me because I have the video. If I need to go back and reference it, I can do it that way. But just make sure you're paying attention. 2. Number 3. Come on. What's going on here? Oh, stuck. Okay. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and grab a rag here too. I got all kinds of excess grease up here that's been leaking out. So, yeah, he was spot on that there's leaky grease and there's going to be a gasket in here. I'll show you. But I guess what happens is, you know, over time this thing gets used and used and used and used, and that grease will kind of separate out, especially if you get it real hot, or if you leave it sitting someplace where it gets really hot, that grease will kind of separate out, and you'll get, you know, oil coming out. So I think that's what's going on here, and he uses this quite a bit too. So it's, you know, he's been using this thing for years, so it's gotten a lot of use. So still a tribute to KitchenAid. This is a good product. All right, there's 2 flathead screwdrivers here, or screws here. I guess on some of the newer models, there's actually a square bit that is in there, but this one he's had for quite a while, so it's all flathead. Those aren't even very tight. They're actually really loose. All right, so we got those out. What else we got? Looks like I have to, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over here. All right, so there are 2 more screws back here that need to come out. Hopefully I can get in here with stubby. I might have to, yeah, we'll get a longer guy in there. Kind of an awkward angle, but none of these screws are actually very tight. They're all pretty much just almost hand tight, which is kind of interesting. I don't know if that's how they're supposed to be or not, but I'm going to make them a little bit more snug than that once I put this bad boy back together. Okay, so that one's loose. Come out. Yep, again, that one wasn't very tight either. Okay, that one is loose. Can come out. Now I believe this top housing should be loose now. I believe now, let's see here. I think you can pry up on this. Yep, a little bit. I also said, you know, be careful here too. You don't want to damage your paint. But I'm going to pry up on this and get that off. Oh, look. Oh my gosh, look at that. Wow. Yeah, that's more like jelly than anything else right now. Okay. So here, I'll go ahead and pop you off the camera here, or off the tripod, and we'll take a closer look. All right, so first of all, we'll look down in here. Yeah, you can see that grease is looking pretty old. You can see some of it's more gel-like than anything. It's not really even touching some of the gears anymore. Let's take a look up here too, and you can try to point it out here, but like around this area here, it looks like there's a gap even between the grease and the gears. So like the grease isn't acting like grease anymore, it's more like jelly, whereas like here, you know, it's not taking the shape of its container anymore. So we got to go ahead and get all of this old nasty grease out of here. And I guess what happens too is, you know, I mentioned a gasket before. So here's that gasket. From that oil, you know, the oil separating out of the grease, that thing gets saturated, and it eventually gets so saturated it starts leaking out, and it starts leaking into the food and stuff. Now, this is food-safe grease, so it's not of detriment to you at all. It's not going to hurt you, not going to kill you, anything like that. It's just more unsightly than anything. So anyways, it's a good thing we're doing this, so we will have to go ahead and get all this grease out of here and go ahead and get a new gasket and then some new grease for here. So let me just start getting set up here to get this cleaned up, and I'll bring you back. 1 second. All right, let's start getting this goo-goo out of here. I mean, this is just a big old stack of grease is all this is. So I got myself a bag and a putty knife, and I'm just going to start scooping away what I can. I know I'm going to make a mess here, but, you know, it is what it is at this point. Oh, boy. Ugh. Yeah, that's just like a big old wad of jelly. Oh, my. So, yeah, we're going to want to go ahead and get all this old grease out of here. And then once I just launched some. And once I get it cleaned up to a certain point, there is going to be some more stuff to take apart here to really get this cleaned out here. So I'm going to go ahead and work at this, and I'll bring it back once I get it cleaned up enough to take the rest of it apart. So stay tuned. All right, well, I got most of the big chunks off. You can see there's still quite a bit left on here, but okay, I want to take this guy off. So there's 1, 2, and where are we at? 3 screws to get that off. So I'm gonna go ahead and pop that off, and I think that will lift right off of there, and then this gear should come off too. So let me get you set up on the tripod, and we can see if that's how that works. So 1 second. All right, let's give that a try here. So Phillips head, this is number 2. Okay, there's 1. I'm gonna set this one off to the side because I'm gonna want to degrease that one. This one's gonna be clean, so that's not a big deal. Put him in my magnetic parts catcher. And then number 3 over here. Alright, that one is dirty as well. Alright, so let me get a shop rag laid out here. Lay this stuff on, so that should, yep, that comes right out. And then, let's see, I'll just grab a hold and that, oop, let's see. Maybe that doesn't come out. Oh yeah, it does. Let's see. Yeah. Oh, okay. Whoop! Dropped her. Yeah, that one's a little snug. There's a O-ring right around here that was keeping it from coming through, so that keeps the oil from dripping through the other side. So I'll look into getting that O-ring too here. But there, I have pretty much everything apart here. So now it's just a matter of getting everything, you know, degreased and back together. So I'm gonna soak this stuff in some simple green solution to get some of the big heavy deposits off, probably overnight, a couple days, whatever. And then I'm gonna work on getting all this cleared off, and then also getting inside the head here and getting that all cleared off. So you don't need to see me do that. I'm just gonna use some carb clean and a bunch of rags and stuff just to get it as clean as I possibly can. And then I'll bring it back once all that's done. So stay tuned. All right, folks, we're back. Well, that was a messy process. I let a lot of this stuff soak actually overnight in a solution of Simple Green. Simple Green and water mixture 50-50, and I used like 3 cans of brake clean on this thing. But you can see I got all the little nooks and crannies here clean of that old grease. Everything on these cleaned out, all in between all the gear teeth and everything else and all the different parts. This one was a pain because there's so many different nooks and crannies, but I got, I think, 99% of it there. So we're all clean. All right, so I can't really do anything else here until I get my new grease and my new gasket. So I was actually able to order those off of Amazon. I'll put a link in the description to the one that I ordered, but basically it comes with a tub of food-grade grease. You get 6 ounces and a new gasket. So once that comes in, I will bring y'all back and we'll reassemble this beast. So until then, stay tuned. All right, it's been about 2 weeks, but we're back. We were on vacation last week, so there wasn't much we could get done, but our kit came. So in the kit, we've got 6 ounces of, it says it's specially for kitchen mixers, so a food-grade grease. Got a little scooper and a schmearer, so we don't have to, you know, we can scoop it out. Then we got 2 gaskets, actually. So it seems like these kits are general for many different types of mixers like this. So it came with 2 gaskets. I did see my part number referenced, and it was this one. So let's see how well we line up here. Looks a little out of proportion in the camera here, but in real life it actually looks pretty good. So that gasket looks like it's going to work. Let's see. That's about it. Okay, so now I'll set you up on the tripod and we'll work on the assembly process. I guess the idea is use every last glob of grease in this container you can to pack it all in there. So let's get this thing back together and see what we can do. So stay tuned. Okay, here we go. Let's see if we can remember how to do this. All right, so kind of mock stuff up here to kind of get my memory refreshed, but we're going to take this back apart. All right, first thing I'm going to do is get this guy all greased up. I'm going to take grease, I'm going to pack it in here around the all these gears in here, make sure everything's nice and coated. So we'll take our little handy dandy scooper here and just start a packing. Not going to be easy. At some point this might just be easier to use my finger, but we'll see what happens here. I'm going to make sure we get it packed into all the nooks and crannies in there. There we go, getting there. Take another scoop, keep it packing. Okay, that's pretty well packed in there. All right, now let's do the same thing up here. Take a big old glob and work that in there. Okay, getting there. Go ahead and pack it up in here. I want to make sure she's oozing. Absolutely oozing with grease. Okay, now we'll go ahead and set this guy in place. So there's a notch here and a notch here that they set in. And you can see our 3 screw holes line up. All right. Need to go grab myself a fresh rag here. 1 second. All right. So now we got to put our 3 screws back in. So that's going to be these guys here for reference. Okay, we'll get those in there and snugged right up. Leave them loose for the moment until I get all 3 in and I'm sure I'm where I want to be. Okay. Okay. Okay, those are all in. Now, we'll take our main gear here, and we'll slop him full of grease. Make sure we get it inside of all the teeth, nice and deep black. Pardon me, I got a little bit of a cold here, so we're struggling a bit, but not too bad. I'm coming out of it. Okay, those are all packed. Now we'll give her a nice coating on the bottom here too, just to make sure that everything is covered the way we want it to be. Put a little bit on here too. Probably don't necessarily have to do this, but I'm going to. Okay, So now we'll lay him on here like so. Wipe our hands off a little bit. Then we got to send our shaft up through the middle here. Go ahead and put a little bit of grease on here to help him come up through. There we go. Okay, hopefully you stay. There we go. Okay. Now, let me get myself cleaned up here and let me check to see what we need to do next, so stay tuned. All right, I think at this point I'm going to go ahead and grease the underside here. So we're going to go ahead and trip our trigger, flip it up, and we're going to pack this bad boy full of grease just to make sure we have plenty in there and we don't use it all up on the top side here, because we do have to assemble the top side before we fully assemble the bottom side. So I'm going to go ahead and pack my gear here full of grease. Okay, that's full. Then we're going to go up here and smear it all around up in there. Whoop. Guess 2 hands is a must on this step. A little bit more. Okay, we got those gears packed, and we'll just put a little bit of extra up in here. Because we got a lot of moving pieces, so we want to make sure we got everything covered. Okay, well, there's more grease up there now than there was to begin with, so that's probably going to be pretty good. All right. So now we'll go ahead and we just need to pack this top part here with all kinds of grease. Okay, so we'll get it up in that shaft and just pack her in here as best we can, because this is going to be spinning all around. And I mean, you saw how much was in there when I disassembled it, so it's apparently how much we need. We're going to pack every bit of it in here we can. And actually here, let's go ahead and, you guys probably can't see that too well, but up here in this top head, we'll go ahead and smear it inside our worm gear here. We'll put a little bit up inside here. I'm actually going to take my finger to do that. There's a hole up in there where that shaft rides and needs some grease. Okay. And we'll pack a little bit up inside here. All right, so that's going to be good. Yep. All right, now we'll just continue the process of packing it up top here. Just pack, 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 pack. Again, you're supposed to use every bit of grease you can in here, so we'll pack her in tight. Looks a little bit like frosting or mashed potatoes up in here, doesn't it? So now you saw the old grease was brown. So I guess that's something that KitchenAid did. You know, they had brown grease in there originally, and then people were seeing it leak out, and they were complaining about the brown grease. So then they started making it white, so that now if it leaks out, you don't really notice it. So I wouldn't say that's necessarily a good thing, but that's what they're doing. So just so you know, if you see any white residue on a newer KitchenAid, that's what this is going to be. Some of that old grease, or some of that new grease leaking out, because this does need to be done from time to time. Wow. Well, I'd say she's going to be pretty well good and greased by the time I'm done with her here, huh? So now too, I was, looking for different kits on Amazon and this and that, and looking at different reviews and pictures, and There are a bunch of these on Amazon, and I think you do have to be a little bit careful because some of these, the grease doesn't seem to be as good. So now this stuff seems pretty good. It's like, you know, it's kind of the consistency of petroleum jelly, or you know, just like any other grease. Maybe a little bit thinner than axle grease, but some of it in there, it was really clumpy looking in the pictures, and people noted that in the reviews. So the one I got had pretty good reviews, and from what I'm seeing, the reviews were spot on that this grease is actually pretty good. So again, I'll put a link in the description so that you all can get the same one if you want to. But yeah, that's something I noted too. All right, so I have just a little bit left in here. I think I'm going to put that up on the underside just to pack a little bit more in there, since I know I have, seems like I have plenty up top here now. So, trip my trigger, and packy. Okay, that's just about all of it. Okay, go ahead and wipe the excess off my fingies here. All right, now we can go ahead and put our gasket in place. So there's a flat side, there's like a, like an angled side here. There's an angled side here, that's where they go. There's a dowel pin here that goes in line with that. And then all of the screw holes line up. So that's how we're going to set that in place there. Okay, it looks like all of our screw holes line up, so that's a good thing. All right. Getting ahead of myself here almost. There's a part I forgot. There's a pin that goes through the shaft here. Little pin right here. That keeps the shaft from falling down. So I have to go ahead and I'm going to open up a little bit of the grease here to try to find where that little hole is in the shaft. There it is. It's right there. Set this down here for safekeeping. Go ahead and this should just slide right in there. There's a hole, and then in that gear there's actually a notch down there where that pin rides. So you just turn, yep, you see that? So like right now, it's riding on top of that gear. Go ahead, boop, now it's down in the notch. Now we're good. Now we can go ahead and seal that bad boy back up again. Now that shaft is not gonna fall out. Okay, one more thing. There is the gear inside the main head here. So I went ahead and I installed that and smeared a bunch of grease on there. Don't forget that guy. That's what, you know, drives your accessories that, you know, come off there. So we'll just take it and put whatever leftover grease we have on there. And then away we go. All right, now we can go ahead and get everything back together. Let me go ahead and just get my hands cleaned up a little bit here, and we'll get ready to put that together. 1 second. All right, let's see if we can get this lid on here. All right, so we got to set her in carefully. Try not to pinch anything. Try not to squish the grease out of where we just put it. There we go. Yeah, make sure you just eyeball that and make sure it's sitting down tight against that gasket and against it on all sides before you try to tighten it up. All right, so now let's go ahead and trip our trigger, tip our head back a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and put in our 2 bolts right here first, just since it's right here to help hold things. So that's going to be these with the fatter head and no shank on them. There's just 2 of them. So we'll go ahead and pop those bad boys up in here. Okay, snug him up. Whoop, that's a better screwdriver. Snug him up and snug him up. Okay, now we can go ahead and we've got 5 screws that go around here to help hold that head up. Okay, so those are going to be these. They have the shallower, thinner head up here, and they've got the shank on them there. Okay, so go ahead and throw all 5 of those up in there. Probably a good idea to, you know, try a couple of them to make sure that your holes are lined up with that gasket there. So that first one went in no problem. We'll go ahead and try this one up here. Yep, just get them all started first before you try to crank one down in case you need to slide that gasket around a little bit. But it looks like we're in pretty good shape here. Okay, I'll get all 5 of them started here and then we'll work on tightening them down. Okay, and the last one. All right, we'll go ahead and drive that one home and snug it down. we go. I'm gonna try to tighten in like a star pattern here, similar to like you would a lug nut, just to make sure that we're getting it good and flush against that gasket there. All right, so I went here to here. Now we're gonna come back over here. We will hopefully get a nice, good seal on that gasket. Okay, go ahead and hit them each one more time just to make sure that we're good and snug. Okay. Come on. There we go. There we go, and hit the middle one. Okay, now we can go ahead and get our planetary gear up in there. Okay, so remember we have an O-ring here. So it's going to be a good idea to take a little bit of this excess grease and smear it around here on that O-ring. Excuse me. Because that O-ring needs to come up and slide through that hole there, and it's metal, so you don't want it to cut that O-ring, because this is part of your seal as well here. All right, so go ahead and push that up there. Now your gears are going to need to mesh up here, so make sure you take a second. Okay, cool. We're in. Now we need to get our pin centered here. Okay, we got to find where that hole is. Okay, and really you just have to rotate this a little bit and you're going to find where that hole is. All right, so we'll take our pin and we'll work on driving that back in there. Pin's in the hole. Take our hammer. Start tapping away. Okay, looks like I'm just about centered there. Okay, I think that is in. Okay, now let's go ahead and get our bolts on the back here. So go ahead and turn him around. Excuse me. All right, so we got two more down here. So that's going to be again those ones with the bigger head on them and no shank. So go ahead and put those two guys in there. Tighten them down. These are little guy. Well, I guess we'll use a big one. It's at kind of a weird angle here, so it might help to tilt the head like I just did here. Okay, that one's tight. Get this one in place. Okay, take our stubby guy. This is really an awkward angle here, so just be careful. Okay, he's tight. Get this one more time. All right, we're tight. Okay, go ahead and strip our trigger here. All right, so we'll stand her back up. Oh, okay. Now we got to get our back plate back together. So we want to make sure our electrical connectors are in where they're supposed to be. So there's this little notch here, and that's where this guy slides into. If you can twist it a little bit, push it in. Okay, now he's where he needs to go. All right, now we got to put our back plate back on. So it's got these two little kickers that stick out here. I guess you call them dogs, and those hook on down in here. So it's a good idea to put those in first. Whoopsie. Okay, get those in place. All right, so there should be 3 screws left only. So there's a longer one and 2 shorter ones. This longer one's gonna go up here, and that's what keeps your back plate in place. So we'll go ahead and put him in. Okay, back plate is secured. Now we have to go ahead and put on our KitchenAid guard thing here. I don't even know what it's called. But that just goes around the front, and then it Slides right in here between the back cover. Whoop. There we go. Between the back cover and come on. What's going on here? Got something in the way. Well, that side slid on really easily. I'm gonna try to take that one off. Since that one went in easily, we'll go ahead and do this one. Yeah, this one's got a little bit of a ding in it up here. I don't know if I dinged it up when I took it apart or not, but I got a little bit of a burr right here. So I'm just gonna take a file and hit that real quick. See if I can't smooth that out. Okay, let's try that again. Try that side first. There we go, now we slid in, okay? Might be easier to do this before you put the back plate on, but I'm doing it without. There, both screw holes are lined up. All right, so now we'll go ahead and take our shorter Phillips screws, put those in. Okay. One more. Okay, now that's all back together. Now we'll flip it around here one more time and trip our trigger, tip our head up, and we got to put this piece back on here. I'm going to go ahead and wipe her down, and then that again just slides right over here. You can tap it in place with a soft hammer. I'm going to use my dead blow. Probably don't want to use a metal hammer because you'll dent it up. Okay, it seems like everything is back in place. So now, let's go ahead and see if we can't plug this bad boy in. Give her a try. Of course, I'm not going to have an outlet that's going to reach over here, so let me go grab an extension cord and I'll plug that bad boy in. So give me 1 second. Okay, we're plugged in. Let's give this bad boy a shot and see what happens here. I'll tip it up so you can see what's going on. Oh yeah, you can hear all that fresh grease getting worked around in there. Some of the excess out of there. Just let her work around for a second. All right, I think we're back in business. Everything seems to be good. Cool. All right, that just about does it. So now you should know how to take apart a KitchenAid in the gearbox, get all the old grease out, and put new grease in and replace that gasket. So hopefully this helps somebody out. Till the next one, signing off.